Hey there, I'm SongRider, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Forsaken Giant fight. The first thing that you probably want to do before you head on over there is make sure you have some of the appropriate equipment. The thing to keep in mind for the giant fight is it's more of a survivability and dodging thing. Doing a crazy amount of damage isn't going to be incredibly helpful except for cleaning up some of the trash. So I'm going with the shrapnel build at the moment because it's what I have, and I do suggest also bringing along one of these double jump drinks if you haven't seen one before. They're very, very useful. It gives you a second jump, and it's really nice for dodging shockwaves. And for this fight, since I don't need to be doing crazy insane amounts of damage, I'm going to be just going with an extra HP boost to give me some more survivability. And I also have a couple of these lying around for extra, just in case something goes wrong. Gonna have that available as well. But once you have those things, or if you don't need them, you also don't necessarily need any of those. They're just to help make the fight a little bit easier for you. We're going to go ahead and head on over to the Forsaken Giants Monolith here, which you can see is all the way over here. There we go. And as you can see, we are already in the thick of things with the Rosetta facility. Hello, buddy. So the key thing to remember about this monolith, actually, if you haven't done it before, is that the entrance is not up there where it is for every other monolith in the game that I'm aware of. You actually, right in front of this teleport tower is the entrance to this big old facility, and the entrance into the monolith will be in that facility. Just gonna need to clear out a few additional Rosetta friends. I have the goo, so I don't have to worry about taking a couple of shots on my way through. Pop. Pop. Might as well grab some loot on your way. This is a high tier zone, so you should get some decent stuff. As you can see, I am ticking up on my Stardust stuff there on the back of my backpack. It does have a fairly high Stardust level in this area. So you will probably want to be... Buddy? Hey. Hey there, friend. Okay. Goodbye, then. Have a nice day. Probably want to make sure you have plenty of resistance to Stardust to at least get in here. Unless you have the one of the beer effects up, then I believe you might be okay. But other than that, you'll see we're coming out here in this section of the room, which usually is at the bottom of the monolith when you're finished with it. Straight into the monolith here. So we're going to go ahead and give this a go here. Now you can do this with a teammate, but you will need to coordinate with them a little bit, as one of the mechanics does require you to have some coordination to kind of make sure you're doing it correctly. Otherwise you could get in a little bit of trouble with that. I can't see the goo, but he's there. I can see my health ticking up. Okay. Have wonderful sound as you take a drink. All right, let's get in there. We're going to skip the cutscene today because I've already seen it several times. You're welcome to watch if you need it.
Alright, to start this fight, we're going to go ahead and take a single shot at this giant. I'm going to refer to his arms as we see them from our angle as we go throughout the fight. As you can see here, the spot on his upper left arm begins to glow red. That means that spot is now vulnerable. This also means he's about to slam the ground on the left-hand side. For this attack, we need to move to the right to avoid the slam and then jump over the ensuing shockwave. Having double jump can be really helpful for you here. I do have the shrapnel build, as I mentioned earlier, which means I don't have to directly hit those weak spots when I'm lighting up. Next, we can see that his left palm lit up red. While we can shoot the palm, we first need to go to the safe zone as he is about to do a sweeping slap. Note that depending on what side of the stage you're standing on, often will correlate with which way he's going to swipe and which way we need to run. We need to run to the small grassy knoll on the opposite side of the lit up hand. Once here, you can put a few rounds down range into his palm, hitting that weak spot once again. But do make sure you position on the back side of the knoll, as too close to the front will end up with you getting slapped. As you can see here, my shots are doing basically nothing at the moment. a key point to note is that each attack the giant does comes with its correlating damage phase, and each phase has a cap to keep you from bursting the giant down rapidly, as we see in many of the other boss fights. Next, the giant is going to start crying. This crying will launch slow-moving, non-homing projectiles from his head. They're going to spawn some of these small energy globe projectiles you can pick up, as well as sometimes a few basic gnar enemies. You can pick up the small energy globe, like I mentioned, to get a brief stun on the giant when he's holding his chest phase. I typically don't do that aside from the very first time, because the UI gets a little bit tricky sometimes and doesn't really want to pick up the globe, and you're just kind of standing there walking back and forth trying to grab it when you could be shooting the giant. Close to around the halfway point of his second bar of HP, the first Chaos Management phase is going to begin. The giant will continue with whatever its next attack mechanic happens to be, and so you gotta make sure you watch out for that, especially if he's getting ready to slam the stage. But then he will begin his what I call Red Mart phase, while you try to deal with whatever adds are. There's one Arbiter, 4 floating enemies, and sometimes a few gnars during the ad phase, if he manages to get those off during the tier phase. Try to clear as many of these ads as you can as quickly as you can while watching the boss's moves, especially if he hasn't started with the marking phase yet. The marking phase is the one mechanic during this fight. Everything else is either part of the boss's moveset or a bit of chaos management dealing with the ads. Each segment of the stage, identified by these cracks here, can take 3 hits. At 3 hits, that segment is gone. If you lose a segment of the stage, as long as it's not the center, you should still be able to win. It's just going to be a lot more difficult. I think you can probably still win losing the center of the stage, but it's going to be incredibly difficult as you're losing a lot of space to dodge attacks. And then the only way that I'm aware of to dodge the sweep is going to be able to somehow double jump over his arm. I've heard is possible, but I haven't tried it myself. When the boss first marks you, he's going to disappear. Once he reappears, he'll raise his fist in the air and then slam a stage section. The giant chooses which stage section he's going to slam based on which stage section you're standing on. Once his fist is lifted into the air, he's selected which stage he's going to hit, and you can go ahead and move off of it to get out of the way. There are 2 Chaos Management phases, followed by 3 hits of that stage slam mechanic. So make sure to remember how many hits each stage section has taken. You should be able to spread out the damage to the stage to keep him losing any segments, as he only slams 6 times, which means that each stage should be able to have 1 more hit available left to it. After the first set of stage slams, the giant will add some new moves to his attack pattern. The first new move usually comes after the full stage sweep, where he generates a large orb of energy, and he's just gonna like fire all these semi-tracking projectiles. This replaces his holding his chest and crying move from the first phase of the fight usually. To avoid, simply stay out of the center stage before the ball hits the ground and move to the side while the projectiles are incoming. Double jump can sometimes be really useful to help avoid some of these other projectiles as well, and let you keep shooting. third phase of the fight is started with the second Chaos Management phase when his HP is close to half of the 4th health bar. This should be identical to the first, as you need to clear the spawned adds while also managing the next 3 marked stage slam attacks. Do note, if you manage to clear these adds quickly enough during the marked slam phases, you can put a little bit of damage on his weak spot on his arm as well to help speed everything up a little bit. In the third and final phase, the Giant adds a new pair of attacks that we're going to see here shortly. When the Giant's head lights up like that, he's going to begin slapping himself around, and you have a few seconds to rip into him while he's busy doing that. Don't get too greedy, as the ground will begin lighting up with puddles, which should be very easy to avoid by just staying mobile. You'll see here that I run off to the side to kind of lead the puddles this way, and then as the puddles start to calm down, I'm going to run back into the center, which is where I want to be for most of the fight. The Giant does also sometimes add an additional move, though I've had times where he didn't add the move, or he just used it like once in the entire fight. He's going to lean in toward the stage and swipe in to grab your character. If you have enough HP, you should be able to survive one of these hits if he gets a hold of you, though it's going to hurt a lot, and you're going to want to heal yourself right after that. That, and it also gives you the crippled debuff for a bit, which makes it a lot harder to get out of the way of the sweep attack or the slam attack. Well, still doable. You're not gonna be able to do as much damage downrange on this palm because it's going to be like right behind you as you get there. To avoid this attack, try running in the opposite direction of his sweeping hand that's coming towards you to grab you as fast as possible. Pray to your hitbox overlords and dodge roll towards the end of the sweep to try to avoid this grab. As you can see here, I did manage to avoid the grab the second time, so it is possible.
There we go. Forsaken Giant